Hello, everyone. We begin here at 5 tonight with new steps toward a return to normal life amid the ongoing pandemic. Oregon is now planning to drop most mask rules sooner than expected. KGW's Tim Gordon joins us live with today's update. Tim?
Laurel, the date was March 31st, and today the Oregon Health Authority moved it up to March 19th. That's nearly 2 weeks sooner that most indoor settings, including schools, will be able to end the mask requirement and make face masks or coverings optional. The reason for this is the fast fall of Omicron and with it, COVID hospitalizations. In fact, OHA says the number of COVID patients in the hospital has dropped 48% since a peak in late January. And infections are down 80% in the past month, a really steep decline in the last couple of weeks. Oregon wanted to get to 400 or fewer COVID patients in the hospital before lifting the mask mandate. And a brand new forecast from OHSU today makes March 19th sound like no problem.
My forecast this week shows us hitting 400 on March 12th. And so, maybe even before that March 20th date. So I think that's a safe date to think that we'd be at 400.
This is due to your collective effort to get vaccinated, wear masks, limit gatherings, and to faithfully follow the public health protocols.
Now, many local school officials told state leaders that they wanted to see the mask mandate end for them at the same time as for the general public, and that's what's happening. The state working on updating other health safety protocols for schools to make the move successful. And after March 19th, OHA will still continue to strongly recommend that masking continue in school settings where children, both vaccinated and unvaccinated, are present. And one other note on the mask mandate, it will remain in effect in healthcare settings and long-term care facilities. We should also mention that Governor Kate Brown announced today that she will lift the COVID emergency declaration on April 1st. That declaration gives the state some flexibility and also extra federal dollars.
Thank you, Tim. Tonight, images of devastation and injuries are emerging from the crisis in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has launched a large-scale attack on the country, bringing war to Europe. Russia is bombarding major cities across Ukraine with missile strikes, so far largely targeting military installations and airfields. Ukrainian officials report 57 people have been killed so far. In Washington, D.C., President Biden is meeting with his national security advisors and top allies in the G7 to coordinate harsh new sanctions aimed at crushing the Russian economy.
Putin is the aggressor. Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences. We will limit Russia's ability to do business in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen to be part of the global economy.
President Biden again promised U.S. troops will not be fighting inside Ukraine, but did say more troops will head to Germany to help with NATO's response to the Russian invasion.
Nobody knows what's inside of Putin's head.
That reaction from the publisher of a local Ukrainian magazine, worried about what comes next for his home country and how this could end. And tonight, tens of thousands of Ukrainian Americans who call this region home are wondering the same thing. KGW's David Molko has been in touch with leaders in the local community. And David, it seems like they're really in disbelief about all of this.
Laurel, they are grappling with a reality they did not expect, a sudden Russian invasion of their homeland and on multiple fronts. And the conversation here turning toward quickly pulling together and trying to help.
As explosions shake Ukraine and Russian troops pour in, Yuri Boyechko in Beaverton feels rattled. He didn't sleep last night.
I still in shock, I still speechless, I still cannot put myself together. I still trying to calm down, to make whatever wise decision, what we're gonna do next.
The publisher of local Ukrainian magazine Kanon, Boyechko grew up in the western city of Lviv. 22 years after he arrived in Oregon, his home essentially under siege.
We don't know anything what's gonna happen right now.
The community leader on his cover, Vancouver's Pastor Paul Demyanik.
It's really tough for us.
And especially close to home, as his brother-in-law joins our chat from Kyiv.
We see panicked people, we see big lines at the petrol stations.
This father of four, who works for a Dutch company, not sheltering in the subway like some of his countrymen, but rushing to do his part.
I just have like two minutes because I have to leave now to the company, because they're now asking to bring vehicles, to give vehicles to the army.
Those who have the means headed west to get out.
I just can't believe someone could be so evil.
Though with airports closed and supply chains blocked, local organizers now struggling with how to get help in.
We don't know right now because everything changed.
Minute by minute, second by second, really. Tonight, the pastor says that means a container full of donated medical supplies that was nearly ready to go. Well, it might be stuck here in Portland for days or even weeks, with community members here working on their own game plan of what to do next. Laurel?
It was so important to hear these local connections. Thank you, David. Now for an update to a story we've been following for a couple of days. Employees at the Eastern Oregon food plant destroyed by fire are worried they may soon be out of work. For proof, they point to a letter they received from their employer, Shears Foods. The letter hints at changes to insurance and pay ending in a matter of weeks. Mike Benner spoke to several employees and has more.
Everybody's concerned. Nobody knows what the future holds.
Uncertainty consumes the employees of an Eastern Oregon food processing plant, decimated by a fire earlier in the week.
We're still kind of in shock of like exactly what is going on. It feels like we're not being taken care of.
Javier Padilla and his coworkers at Shears Foods can't help but feel that way following a Thursday morning meeting with company leaders. KGW has learned employees were given a letter stating they're eligible for a minimum of 5 weeks' pay, at which point COBRA benefits kick in. Workers we spoke with believe it's only a matter of time before they're out of a job.
They just throwing us out there in the cold. They not really want to help us. They just want to just throw us out there and get rid of us.
You might recall that on Tuesday afternoon, flames tore through the Shears Foods plant, a plant that accounts for 1 in 30 jobs in Hermiston. A portable boiler powered by natural gas is to blame for the explosion that sent at least 6 people to the hospital. Fortunately, they were treated and released, but now they're facing the prospects of unemployment.
A lot of signatures were very upset people.
Workers have started a petition in hopes of saving their jobs and livelihoods in the wake of the devastating fire.
This job I really did love. You know what I mean? I love this job. And when I went to work, I was happy. You know what I mean?
It's the definition of job satisfaction, but it may be short-lived if the fire really is the end of the Shears Foods plant in Hermiston. And if so, this is the fear for the hundreds of workers who consider themselves family.
There's over 400 of us that have to go find a job. We have to basically fight our own family to go find this job. It's limited out here.
We did reach out to Shears Foods for a comment. A spokesperson told us what they relayed to employees Thursday is an interim plan to ease any immediate concerns. In the coming days, the company will be evaluating the damage from the fire and making decisions as to the short and long-term viability of the Hermiston facility. We'll, of course, stay on top of it. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
It's progress in Portland's push to open 6 tiny house or safe rest villages for people who are homeless. The final 6 sites have been chosen. The last 4, those green pins on the map you see there, were just announced late today. They're scattered across the city in North Portland, downtown, and southeast. That's in addition to the 2 already announced last year. There's no denying this plan is woefully behind schedule. These villages were supposed to be open last year. Still, officials say this announcement marks a win. Maggie Vespa joins us live at the southeast site near 106th and Reedway. That's in the Lentz neighborhood. And Maggie, now the city's saying these villages will be open this year.
Yeah, that's right. Laurel, Portland's Housing Commissioner Dan Ryan now saying these villages, these 6 sites will open sometime, he said, in 2022, possibly as soon as this spring. And he also noted about half the sites they've chosen are owned by different city bureaus in Portland. And that includes this one. This is owned by the city's Bureau of Environmental Services. And today, in part, the commissioner blamed basically bureaucratic infighting for the delay in opening these villages, hence another announcement.
Today, we're here to announce an emergency declaration that Mayor Wheeler has signed to help us keep moving forward on building of the Safe Rest Villages.
Portland's housing commissioner is sick of bureaucracy slowing him down. In a press conference Thursday, Dan Ryan made 2 announcements. One, the city has chosen its final 6 sites for Safe Rest Villages, including those 4 new ones in green. We'll get to that in a moment. Announcement number 2, half those sites are owned by various city bureaus, and infighting between those bureaus has been slowing the project down. Enter, Ryan said, a solution, an emergency declaration giving control of those sites to Mayor Ted Wheeler, who will then turn over that control to Commissioner Ryan. Ryan acknowledging this is frustrating to people at home who just want the city to get this done.
They just can't believe what they're seeing, and they want government to behave and expedite and partner like never before. And I think what you're witnessing today is a big step in that direction.
Amid a mounting housing crisis, Commissioner Ryan called this a big win. He vowed to open all 6 Safe Rest villages, tiny house villages with services attached, this year, spring at the earliest. Without further ado, the locations. Among those 4 new sites in green, 1 in North Portland near Peninsula Crossing, 1 in Northeast at Sunderland and 33rd. There's 1 downtown along Northwest Nadeau, just north of the Broadway Bridge. Then finally, this one in Southeast. That's in addition to the 2 chosen last year in red. The Menlo Park and Ride in Southeast Portland and the Shears Army Reserve Center on Southwest Multnomah Boulevard. Neighbors around these new sites just started finding out about this week. News that has rattled homeowners in the past.
They're just dropping it in our laps and saying, deal with it.
At the same time, KGW's heard from countless people living on the streets who just want these tiny house villages, holding roughly 300 people total, to open as soon as possible. They say they don't understand the delay.
My big question is why? Do you know why?
Yeah, we always get asked those questions when we're in the field talking to people on the streets. The commissioner's office says they are working with neighbors of these properties to answer questions. And we should note each village, again, there are 6 of them, will hold about 50 people, with the idea that each of those 50 people within 6 to 9 months gets services and kind of gets stability and then moves on into permanent housing, making way in the village for the next person who needs to get off the streets. Laurel, back to you.